Welcome back everyone to your favorite movie review channel. As always, this is Man Cinema Reviews with its ever so lovely host. That would be me, Peter Man. What's up, y'all? Let's get straight to it. I got two new reviews for you. It's a double feature yet again, and that is with the latest film, The Crow 2024, and we also have Dìdi. Before we get into those two titles, let's go ahead and take care of some business. That is to press like, subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification bell as well. What are you doing if you're not already subscribed? Be notified whenever I post a new review to this channel. As always, thank you very much for choosing Man Cinema Reviews. Let's go with the good film. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. I'm gonna go with the film Dìdi. In 2008, during the last month of summer before high school begins, an impressionable 13-year-old Taiwanese American boy learns what his family can't teach him: how to skate, how to flirt, and how to love his mom. Now, this film revolves around Chris Wang, again a 13-year-old boy. I think this is Fremont, California. This might be semi, if not fully, autobiographical account of Sean Wang growing up in California to immigrant parents. In this film, he lives with his sister Vivian, who he bickers back and forth. Although we do realize that he looks up to her, he just can't show that to her. And it doesn't really come to that until she leaves for UC San Diego. And that's when the two create a bond, that they get closer and they can empathize with one another. There's a shoulder to lean on. And those were the most heartwarming scenes in the film, I think. Anything that related to the family was really what was the big takeaway and the standout of the film. And Isaac Wang playing the titular character Dìdi, Chris Wang, I think he's just a bright star. I think this is an actor that's going to blossom and hopefully do more. I really did like his character trying to figure out things, an impressionable, young kid who sees skating and hip hop and just Americana, a piece of Americana, and he wants to be a part of that world. He doesn't know how to fully be acclimated to being a cool kid, a person that knows how to date, knows how to kiss. These things that are a little bit cringeworthy are scenes that are played out and feel very realistic and genuine. And that's what I love about this film. It doesn't feel Hollywood, it doesn't feel cookie cutter, it doesn't feel like a usual narrative. It feels very indie, very alternative, and that's what I liked about it. Definitely the mid-90s film that Jonah Hill directed. Very similar aesthetic, and I think being a more modern take, this is set in 2008, it's very a snapshot, a time in which the film is encapsulated, and it really just does bring out what was going on in 2008. You had the influx of MySpace and it fading out, Facebook, and just social media in general. Who was in your top 8? What music did you list? What movies did you list? These are things that were important as kids growing up. I know coming up in 2008, I would have been in my first year of Cal State Long Beach. So I was relatively young at the time. And so I know all about the social cues and the social norms of being up to date and wanting that inclusion, wanting that exposure, and wanting that audience, if you will. And that's what I like about this film. Sean Wang is doing a lot of things in incorporating a Taiwanese film about a Taiwanese American growing up in a world that is expected of him, what he is expected of as far as his studies are concerned, and what he's going to be and how is he going to contribute in American society. And I think Chris doesn't really know, or Dìdi is what his family calls him, doesn't really know what he wants to be, doesn't know what he's good at. He tries his hand at being a videographer, someone that is capturing skate skateboarding. He gets in with this cool crowd, these older students that he's not really aware of, but he meets at a park, I want to say, or outside of a strip mall. And he abandons his high school. I don't know if he's middle school going into high school, but it's the summer before school starts, and he usually has his band of misfits, but he also is enamored by a girl who doesn't really know who he is until he does a little investigating and knows more about her, what she likes, what's listed on her MySpace, the favorite movies, her music. She only catches wind of him at a pool party in which he goes to the bathroom but is looking for her, and then they strike up a conversation. They meet at a park. She makes him feel nervous. It seems like she's taking an interest, and she basically friend zones him, saying that he's good looking for an Asian, and which was weird because I think that the girl in the film was like mixed. She looked like a Caucasian mixed with an Asian race, and so it throws you off. And the film, I think the audience really responds to how people react to Chris and how Chris reacts to people. And there are cringeworthy moments where there's a lot of side eyes and why would you do that? I mean, Didi is trying to navigate himself in his world. It doesn't really know how to do so, and also gets a little backlash from his mom, played by Joan Chen, which I think she was great. I think that the scenes with the family is what I like the most. I really could do without his stint as a videographer. I could do without his friends being knuckleheads, blowing up mailboxes, picking up dead squirrels. Those things we're not interested in. If it kept it to the family aesthetic, I really think this film could have been stronger. I also think that it's not as cohesive as I would have liked. It feels a little jumbled, it feels a little scattershot, but I think that's what the genuine and the aesthetic of an indie really is how this film is approached, and I can't knock it if that's what it's going for. It just didn't feel like a cohesive narrative that gels all the time. It feels a little bit, like I said, scattershot. And I just think I had really high hopes for this film. I do like Didi, but when it stays confined to the family aesthetic between his grandmother and the confrontational relationship that the grandmother and the mother go through. His father's away. I think he is living in Taiwan, so they're in America. So everything kind of revolves around the kids, making sure that they grow up and have good education, getting the opportunities that the parents weren't guaranteed. They work hard for their children. That's how it usually is. And so these are the opportunities that Chris is not fully apprehending. And I think by the end of the film, we don't get a concrete, feel-good, happy ending. It's almost like Chris is still evolving, he's still learning. He doesn't know what he wants to be, but that's okay. He's only 13 years old. So I think that's when you feel like you can relate because you've been there. And I think that this film encapsulates 2008 and social media and the early, age of social media and where we are now. So I think it encapsulates so much, and it's such a broad film, but it's a film ultimately about family. And that's what I like most about Didi. I just felt like it was a little bit undercooked, and I was a little bit underwhelmed in pockets of the film. I will give this film, Didi, a 3-star review. I did like it much more than I liked the next film. It's going to be really short and sweet, and that's going to be the latest The Crow 2024. In this iteration, this film focuses on soulmates Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, brutally murdered when the demons of her dark past catch up with them. Given the chance to save his true love by sacrificing himself, Draven returns to seek bloody revenge against the killers, traversing the worlds of the living and the dead to put the wrong things right. This is a film directed by Rupert Sanders. I know he did, I think, Snow White and the Huntsman. I think he did Ghost in the Shell. I'm not really a big fan of this director's output, and so that was a red flag for me. However, that's not to take away that this could be a good film. It definitely could be. And Bill Skarsgård was the thing that drew me in, because I'm a big fan of his work as Pennywise in It. I think that this guy is a chameleon of an actor. He can get into roles and really mold and shape the way he's going to play a character. So that was a sigh of relief. FKA Twigs, I don't recall her as an actress. I know she's in like the EDM electronic world. She's more of a musician, singer, songwriter. I know that she was engaged at one point to Robert Pattinson, and they split, and then things were a little volatile with her relationship with Shia LaBeouf, in which they met on Honey Boy, which she had a very sizable role in that film. However, as an actor, I don't see the draw. She kind of reminds me of a Mia Goth, but, and I know this might sound harsh, but without the talent, to be honest, because I think she's a little wooden as far as her delivery is concerned. However, I do believe in the chemistry, and this film focuses a lot of the story in the blossoming love affair of Shelley and Eric Draven. Which I don't know if we can call them that, because I don't think they get married. They meet at a rehab. Both have kind of very traumatic upbringings, and we only see Eric when he's a little boy. He's trying to help this horse in the beginning who was trapped in barbed wire, and that's how the film opens up. With FKA Twigs, she is a part of this crew that gets involved with a demonic mogul, and he's the big bad in this film. Danny Houston, who's a great actor, is just wasted talent here. He tries his hand at being a villain in this very thinly plotted and, dare I say, terrible screenplay. The Crow ultimately does not live up to the 1994 film, and it barely redeems itself in the sequels that were kind of piss poor carbon copies of its original. And so it doesn't bring much to the table. I do like the fact that there's good chemistry between FKA Twigs and Bill Skarsgård, but that's where that stops, because this film, terribly plotted, it focused too much on the supernatural and building the lore that's very boring and tedious, because I could care less about the supernatural stuff and what's going on with Danny Houston and FKA Twigs' relationship, and how she becomes involved with this man who kind of seeks out prodigies and strips them of their talent and basically sells them out and sells their souls. This guy's kind of the devil reincarnate, which is the interesting premise for a villain in a The Crow film. However, things just go awry quickly. I think this film has 3 action sequences. Literally, you can count on one hand, 3 action sequences, and that's definitely something that is not something you want to bring to a Crow reimagining, because this film is boring. It's like watching wet paint dry. You go through the motions of this film, and it's terrible. To be honest, when it gets to action sequences, they're really not that great until we get to an opera house, which is probably the standout of the film, and probably its only redeeming quality. Because even though I like the chemistry between FKA Twigs and Bill Skarsgård, I can care less because the screenplay is atrocious. I'm sorry, this film is nowhere near the original of the 1994 cult classic. It doesn't have a director that is a visionary auteur. I'm sorry. Rupert Sanders can hold a candle to what Alex Proyas was doing in the original. And if you want to go see The Crow, just go see the original, because this film just isn't it. It's borderline boring, waste of time, avoid at all costs. The Crow will get a half a star from your boy. Thank you very much for choosing Man Cinema Reviews. Did you watch Didi? Did you watch The Crow? Let me know down in the comments down below, and we'll see you on the next one.